Hey everybody, so today I'm just going to share with you a little bit about our flight today. We're taking the family down to the St. Louis area. My cousin's, one of my cousins lives just on the east side of St. Louis, and we're going to go visit his family and their kids. So I just thought I'd share with you kind of the process that I use to pre-flight plan and then show you the flight down. So basically here, if you want to look and zoom in, whenever I start my pre-flight planning, I like to use ForeFlight, and I always start with kind of the overall route on the maps, and I typically will overlay the composite radar. And I've been watching this since about yesterday, and even before that on the prognostic charts. So here, you know, we can see there's some widespread rain. The nice thing is in the morning, of course, we don't really have those buildups of thunderstorms yet, but certainly as the day progresses, there's a high likelihood of that building up. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I am hopeful that if I hit the play button, you'll notice that this radar loop is showing that most of the system is, of course now it's not going to work, but most of the system is moving off to the east. And so I'm hoping that this hole will continue to progress over so that as we take off this afternoon, and even if we have to go a little bit to the east and then down, but hopefully we can shoot this gap at the precipitation. I also frequently check the imagery here on ForeFlight is amazing. So if you take a look at the infrared is nice because it'll give you basically the cloud tops, and you can take a look here at the bottom. There's a color coding. You can't really see that, but on the bottom there's a color coding with the temperature. And so basically the bluer it gets, the higher the clouds are. So where I see these red and greens, I know that the clouds are either at the surface or very close to the surface, and so that if we're coming down, they're going to be very thin clouds. So I usually will check the infrared, which to me provides a lot better information than just the visible. So I take a look at this. As I mentioned, I also check the prognostic charts. And then on our flights here, I have the flight drawn up here. You can create a specific flight. And I've already done multiple weather briefings, but you know, certainly the ForeFlight weather briefing gives you lots of incredible information in terms of what you can do, the capabilities, checking the weather, etc. So all this is very handy. So we're keeping an eye on that radar, and the big question is going to be like how much of that builds over the course of the day. I'm not anticipating severe thunderstorms. There's only some there's some thunderstorms forecast in the area and some towering cumulus, but not the like widespread thunderstorms that would be an absolute no-go. So we're going to kind of take a look this afternoon before we go, and as long as you know we still have lots of gaps to get around that storm system, then we'll head out. All right, so it's about 9:45 a.m. and came out here to the hangar. We loaded up the aircraft, did a little bit of a walk around just to make sure that everything is looking, you know, pretty normal. We're looking for any obvious signs of a problem. So certainly this is not going to defeat the walk around right before we take off, but it's always nice to come out beforehand, take your time, load the airplane up, checking the oil, you know, checking all the major pieces of equipment so that when we pull the airplane here or head out in about 5 hours, that we're not having to do a full pre-flight. We're just making sure that nothing has changed. You know, nobody accidentally dinged the airplane on tow out, those types of things. So most pilots, particularly pro pilots, they'll come out to the airport plenty early, give a major pre-flight to the airplane, and then right before takeoff, they'll just do a quick walk around. They might have things like hot items, which would be things like latches. Certainly before we take off, we want to make sure our latches are closed, chocks are removed, brakes are off, etc. But today, everything looks good. We're all loaded up. Oil is full. So we'll wait here for a few more hours until we head out for departure.
Hey everybody, it's Dan and Elizabeth. We are cruising here at 19,000 feet, and I'm just going to give you a little,
212, contact Grand
just give you a little bit of an update. The weather still looks about the same. We got just a couple of thunderstorms that, as we expected, are popping up down by Illinois. We'll give you a picture here of that in just a minute, but right now just wanted to say hello, and we'll talk to you in a second. So right now we are definitely, it's always lucky when you're in a nice, clear, blue sky kind of day, just some very scattered clouds down low. And you can see our airspeed's about 150 knots. We're at flight level 190, which is 19,000 feet. And if you take a look here, this is ALN, that's Alton, Illinois, on the northeast side of St. Louis. And I'll just kind of show you here, our ground speed is 222 knots. And I'll zoom out here and just kind of show you what we're going to have coming up.
Skyline 4473, contact
So
Minneapolis
you can
Center,
see here's the weather up
targeting.
ahead. So it's nice, these GPSs, I can kind of zoom in and move the cursor up ahead. So on our route, you can actually see that it's not, we've got kind of this gap right here. And ironic enough, this is moving a little bit to the west, and that's moving a little to the east. So you never know. The aviation guides might be with us today, and we may just get a nice little split there. And we're also going to have to keep our head out. And we'll kind of give you some updates as we come along here. People always ask what our aircraft burns, in fuel. You can see we burn it right now 120, just over 120 pounds per hour. And avgas, aviation gasoline, is about 6
November
pounds.
November 902 Bravo Alpha, contact Minneapolis Center 127.1, good day.
Minneapolis 127.1, 902 baseline. Oh, there, that worked out good. So we're going to dial in 127.1. We're going to change frequencies here, and we're going to check on with the next controller. Minneapolis, good afternoon, 902 Bravo Alpha level 190.
November 902 Bravo Alpha, Minneapolis Center, hello.
All right. So anyway, we'll just keep an eye on the weather here. As we mentioned, 120 pounds per hour. As I was saying, the aviation gasoline is 6 pounds per gallon. So if you do the math, we burn about 20 gallons per hour, and it's just over 120 pounds per hour. So yes, we burn a lot of fuel. However, as I mentioned, we are going 223 knots, and you would take that times 1.15. It's just too much math for my silly head right now, but you're talking somewhere around 260 miles per hour. So we're definitely moving fast. We've got 6 people on the aircraft. So when you do the math, it's actually not terrible. It's certainly not like cheap as driving a car, but it's not bad. This unit over here is called a Stratus, and maybe I'll show you a little later what that does, but it basically can take weather and a lot of really cool flight instrumentation and put it right on our iPad. You can see out the right wing there, got our winglets, that little thing, the triangle here. That's called a winglet. You'll see those on a lot of airliners as well. And so far, it's a really pretty day. This thing right here, I don't know if you guys can see that. That streak, that's a bug. Jeepers, we get bugs. Maybe not this high, but on the ground. All right, so one thing I thought I would show you is how this, again, that's called the Stratus. And there's a number of these receivers right there. There's a number of these things that you can buy, and they're incredibly effective in terms of the price. So here's our old instruments. Okay, so you've got, they call this the 6-pack. This is the 6-pack instrument. Looks like something out of ancient Egypt. And down here, that's our Garmin GPS. It's a Garmin 530 WAS. Okay, and then here on my iPad is the display generated by ForeFlight.
November 23 November Delta Minneapolis.
I know we've got a lot of glare here. I apologize. So here's direct to ALN, and I'm actually going to push this this button right here. This is pretty sweet. And if you've seen like they're called glass cockpits, but typically what this would be is this would be your PFD, or primary flight display, and MFD, the multifunction display. So if you look at like airliners or corporate jets, this is what they're looking at, and this thing is just incredible. And really all you got to have is an iPad, and that unit up there, that one was originally $900. I'm not sure what they charge now. But for a few $100 iPad and that unit, you literally replace, all of this stuff. Now, yes, it's not necessarily legal. Okay, it's not legal. You can't fly using this, but the tools that it gives you are just incredible. And you can see there's some weather down there. It's called ADSB. It's free. It's free weather that you can get on board the aircraft. So anyway, we're keeping an eye on some of the storms that are down there. Right now we're showing an hour and 35 minutes to ALN. I am expecting to hit that weather in about 45 minutes. We'll have to start kind of going left and right just to make sure that we stay safe. But so far you can see it's still very, very, very pretty outside. All right, well we're just about to descend into ALN. We had to deviate just a little bit, but as you can see, it's not terrible out there. Just a couple of little things that we had to head around. There's some nasty stuff in the distance there, but overall, not too bad. I am expecting a little bit of bumps as we descend, but anyway, we'll head on down into St. Louis. It's like about 15 minutes away. All right, thought I'd give you one last update. We're at 16,000 feet, descending down to 4,000 feet. We've briefed the approach. I always talk out loud, even if I'm flying with family or by myself. So we've briefed the GPS 35 approach. That's loaded into our flight plan on our GPS.
Let me know when you got
right now you can see that we are in the clouds, although there's a little bit of blue sky up ahead. We've got our ice protection on for the aircraft, but so far not too bumpy. I probably shouldn't say that though, because Murphy's Law will get bumpy. just a few chops here and there.
2165.
Anyway, we're going to go into what we call sterile cockpit now. Anytime we're below 10,000 feet, we like to talk about nothing but the flight. So we'll sign off from here, and we'll talk to you on the ground. And then we just broke out of the clouds again. Beautiful day here. Hope you enjoyed the video. So right now we're descending. You can see the river.
201 over Centralia. Deviation around
down there. Very beautiful time.
The heavy
Then you can see the airport. If you look right down there, you can see the airport.